The Crimson Dawn encountered the silent patrol. The bridge of the Crimson Dawn hummed with quiet efficiency. Captain Elena Vasquez stood before the massive viewing screen, watching stars drift past like ancient diamonds scattered across black velvet. The ship was humanity's newest achievement, a Titan-class warship stretching 15 kilometers from bow to stern, housing 12,000 souls and enough firepower to level continents. But today, it felt small against the infinite void. Patrol route Delta 7 complete, Captain, reported Navigation Officer Kim. All sectors clear. No anomalies detected. Vasquez nodded, her weathered hands clasped behind her back. At 45, she had seen 3 colonial wars and countless skirmishes. Along the outer rim, Earth Command had chosen her for the Crimson Dawn not just for her military record, but for her unique training in xenological protocols. If humanity ever encountered alien life, she would likely be among the first to make contact. The irony wasn't lost on her. A warship designed for destruction, carrying humanity's hope for peaceful first contact. Captain, Communications Officer Sarah Blake called from her station. Blake was young, barely 26, but her expertise in theoretical alien communication protocols made her invaluable. I'm detecting something unusual on long-range sensors. Chief Engineer Marcus Chen looked up from his tactical console. Chen was a veteran like Vasquez, but where she commanded through presence, he led through innovation. His modifications had made the Crimson Dawn 30% more efficient than any ship in the fleet. Define unusual, Blake, Vasquez said, moving toward the communication station. Blake's fingers danced across holographic displays. It's massive, Captain, roughly twice our size, but the composition is unlike anything in our databases. The hull appears to be some kind of crystalline metal we've never seen before. The bridge fell silent except for the gentle hum of life support systems. Vasquez felt her pulse quicken. After centuries of searching, scanning, and hoping, had they finally found what humanity had always wondered about? Distance, she asked. 4 million kilometers, and closing slowly. They're not heading directly for us, but our trajectories will intersect in approximately 6 hours. Vasquez turned to Chen. Marcus, I want a full systems check. Everything operational and ready, but keep weapons powered down. We're not starting an interstellar war on my watch. Chen nodded grimly. Already. On it, Alina. But if this goes sideways, I want us ready to run or fight. First signals over the next 4 hours. The alien vessel grew from a distant speck to a magnificent sight that dominated their forward displays. It was unlike anything human imagination had conceived. The ship appeared to be grown rather than built, with flowing organic curves that somehow incorporated geometric precision. Its surface shifted between colors that human eyes struggled to process, creating an almost hypnotic effect. My God, whispered Blake, staring at the readings. Captain, this thing is beautiful. Vasquez had to agree, but beauty in space could be deadly. Any signs of weapon systems? Nothing I can identify, Chen reported. But honestly, their technology is so far beyond ours that I might not recognize a weapon if I saw one. Their power output alone is staggering. They're generating more energy than our entire fusion core, and I can't determine how. Communication attempts, Vasquez asked. Blake shook her head. I've tried every protocol we know. Radio waves, laser pulses, mathematical sequences, even musical patterns. They haven't responded to anything. The alien ship continued its approach, now close. enough that individual details became visible on the hull. Strange symbols flowed across its surface like liquid light, and what appeared to be sensor arrays extended and retracted in complex patterns. "Captain," Blake said suddenly, excitement rising in her voice, "I'm receiving something. Not a response to our signals, but they're transmitting." Put it through the speakers. The bridge filled with a sound unlike anything they had ever heard. It wasn't quite music, not exactly language, but something that seemed to bypass the ears and speak directly to the mind. Several crew members stopped what they were doing, drawn by the strange beauty of the alien transmission. "It's mathematical," Blake said, working frantically at her console, "but also emotional somehow. They're transmitting prime numbers, but embedded within what I can only describe as feelings." Chen frowned. "That's impossible. You can't transmit emotions." "Tell that to whoever's out there," Blake replied. "Captain, I think they're trying to establish that they're intelligent, peaceful, and curious about us." Vasquez made a decision. That would echo through history. Open a channel, all frequencies. Let's talk to them. The response Blake's transmission was simple, a mathematical sequence that progressed from basic counting to complex equations, accompanied by audio representations of human music and speech patterns. It was humanity's way of saying, "We are here. We are intelligent, and we want to know you." The response came faster than light speed should have allowed. The alien vessel suddenly blazed with activity. Lights cascaded across its hull in patterns that seemed almost like celebration. Then, impossibly, their instruments detected the alien ship somehow scanning the Crimson Dawn in ways that penetrated their shields as if they didn't exist. "Captain," Chen said, his voice tight with concern, "they're examining our entire ship. Every system, every deck, every component. And there's nothing our defenses can do to stop it." Vasquez felt ice in her veins. "Are they extracting data?" "Not extracting. More like cataloging, as if they're taking inventory of everything we are and everything we can do." On the main screen, the alien vessel began to change. Sections of its hull rearranged themselves, extending new structures that seemed to mirror components of the Crimson Dawn. It was as if the aliens were rebuilding themselves to better interact with humanity. "They're adapting to us," Blake said in wonder. "This is incredible. They're actually modifying their ship based on our technology." But Chun's expression was grim. "Or they're preparing countermeasures for every weapon system we have." The thought sent a chill through the bridge. Here was humanity's greatest warship, and these aliens had examined it completely within minutes. If they wanted to destroy the Crimson Dawn, they clearly had the capability. "Incoming transmission," Blake announced. "But Captain, this is different. They're not using our communication systems. They're somehow projecting directly into our ship's computer network." The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at what could only be the interior of the alien vessel. The architecture was breathtaking, combining organic curves with crystalline structures that seemed to pulse with their own inner light. And at the center of the view stood a being that made everyone on the bridge catch their breath. The alien was tall, perhaps 3 meters, with a form that seemed to shift between solid matter and energy. Its face, if it could be called a face, conveyed an ancient intelligence that felt both benevolent and utterly alien. When it spoke, the words appeared not as sound, but as understanding, directly implanted in their minds. "Greetings, children of the third world from the star you call Soul. We are the architects of the deep current. Your vessel intrigues us." Vasquez stepped forward, knowing this moment would be remembered forever. I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth vessel Crimson Dawn. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship among the stars. Asterisk, the alien being seemed to smile, though the expression was unlike anything human. Peace. An interesting concept from creatures who travel in ships designed for war. Your vessel carries enough destructive power to sterilize worlds, yet you speak of friendship. Chen moved closer to Vasquez, whispering urgently, Captain, I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout their ship. If they wanted to attack us, we'd be dead already. The architect seemed to hear this, despite the whispered conversation. Your engineer speaks truth. We have evaluated your capabilities. Your weapons are primitive but effective within their limitations. However, we are not here for conflict. Then why are you here? Vasquez asked. We are travelers, like yourselves, though we have journeyed much farther and for much longer. We seek to understand the younger species, to see what they might become. Your kind shows promise, but also concerning tendencies. Blake spoke up boldly. What kind of concerning tendencies? The architect turned its attention to her, and she felt the weight of ancient intelligence focusing on her thoughts. You build ships of war and call them tools of peace. You carry weapons of mass destruction while speaking of exploration. You are a species in transition, balanced between wisdom and destruction. The growing tension, asterisk. What happened next would be debated by xenologists for generations. The architect gestured, and suddenly every system on the Crimson Dawn began operating differently. Not malfunctioning, but optimized beyond human understanding. The ship's efficiency increased dramatically, power consumption dropped, and systems that had never worked perfectly now operated flawlessly. They're upgrading us, Chen said in amazement. Every system on the ship is being improved in real time, but the improvements came with a cost. Human crew members throughout the ship began reporting strange sensations, as if their thoughts were being gently examined. The aliens weren't just upgrading the ship, they were studying the people within it. Captain, Blake said nervously, I'm receiving reports from all decks. The crew is experiencing some kind of mental contact. Nothing harmful, but everyone feels like they're being evaluated. Vasquez felt it too. A gentle presence at the edge of her consciousness, curious but not invasive. It was examining her memories, her motivations, her fears and hopes. The sensation was not unpleasant, but it was deeply unsettling to realize that these beings could read human minds as easily as humans read books. We apologize for the intrusion, the architect said, apparently sensing their discomfort. But to understand a species, one must understand individuals. Your thoughts reveal much about your potential, and what do you find? Vasquez asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know the answer. Complexity. Your Captain Vasquez carries the weight of command while maintaining compassion for those under her care. Your engineer Chen values innovation and protection equally. Your communications officer Blake possesses curiosity that surpasses her fear. These are positive indicators. The alien paused, and its expression seemed to darken. But we also find troubling patterns. Your species defaults to violence when faced with the unknown. Your first instinct is often destruction rather than understanding. You have traveled to the stars, carrying the same conflicts that plague your homeworld. Chen stepped forward defensively. We've also brought art, music, literature, and the desire to explore. Humanity isn't just about conflict. This is true, the architect acknowledged. You are a species of contradictions, capable of great beauty and terrible destruction. This is why we must evaluate you carefully. Evaluate us for what? Vasquez demanded. That the architect's form seemed to solidify, becoming more imposing. To determine whether your species is ready to join the greater community of intelligence that spans this galaxy, or whether you require further guidance before such contact would be safe. The word guidance carried implications that made every human on the bridge uncomfortable. Were these aliens considering some form of intervention in human development? The thought of such powerful beings deciding humanity's fate was terrifying. We don't need guidance, Vasquez said firmly. Humanity may have flaws, but we're capable of growth and learning. Perhaps, the architect replied, but your ship's very existence suggests otherwise. You explore space with a vessel designed primarily for war. Even now, though you speak of peace, your crew considers whether they could fight us if necessary. Alien was right, and everyone knew it. Despite the wonder of first contact, military protocols were running in the background. Chen had quietly prepared contingency plans, damage control teams were on standby, and weapon systems remained ready for immediate activation. That's called being prepared, Chen said. We'd be fools not to consider all possibilities when meeting a species with technology far beyond our own. Spoken like a true military mind, the architect observed, always ready for conflict, even in moments of potential friendship. The test begins. What happened next changed everything. The architect gestured again, and suddenly the crimson dawns. Weapon systems began powering up on their own, not targeting the alien ship, but activating across the board without human command. Chen, Vasquez barked. I'm locked out. Chen replied frantically. All weapon systems are operating independently. I can't shut them down. The architect watched calmly as panic spread across the bridge. Your ship's weapons are now under our control, a simple matter of superior technology interfacing with your computer systems. But do not fear. We will not fire them. Then why activate them? Blake asked. To observe your reactions. How does your species respond when its tools of violence are taken away? Do you panic? Do you attempt to retake control through force? Do you shut down in despair? Vasquez realized they were being tested in the most fundamental way possible. These aliens weren't just evaluating human technology or intelligence. They were examining human character under stress. You're putting us through some kind of trial, she said. Indeed. Your response to this situation will help determine how we proceed with your species. Will you demonstrate the wisdom to accept our superiority and learn from it? Or will you respond with the fear and aggression that has characterized so much of human history? The choice was clear, and Vasquez knew that humanity's future might depend on her next words. But as she prepared to respond, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Not from the weapon systems, but from something far more disturbing. Captain, Blake said, her voice shaking, I'm receiving reports from all decks. The crew isn't just being examined anymore, they're being changed. The mental contact that had begun as gentle examination was intensifying. Throughout the ship, human consciousness was being altered in ways they couldn't understand. Some crew members reported enhanced perception and understanding, while others experienced disorientation and fear. The architect's form seemed to pulse with energy. The next phase of evaluation has begun. We will temporarily enhance your crew's cognitive abilities so they can better understand what we offer. But the process requires trust. Resistance will make it ... unpleasant. Vasquez felt the change beginning in her own mind. Colors seemed more vivid. sounds more complex, and thoughts moved with unprecedented clarity. But alongside the enhancement came the terrifying realization that her consciousness was no longer entirely her own. "Stop this," she commanded. "You're violating our basic rights as sentient beings." "Rights are a luxury of equals," the architect replied. "You are children playing with dangerous toys. We offer you the chance to mature, to become more than you are. But first, you must prove you can accept guidance." As Part 1 ended, the Crimson Dawn drifted in space with its crew caught between wonder and terror, their minds being reshaped by aliens whose intentions remained unclear. The test of humanity had begun, and the outcome would determine whether the species that had dreamed of reaching the stars was ready for what waited among them. Part 2. The test of humanity, the enhancement, the transformation swept through the Crimson Dawn like a wave of liquid light. Captain Vasquez fought against the changes occurring in her mind, but resistance was futile. Her thoughts expanded beyond their normal boundaries, processing information at speeds that should have been impossible. Around the bridge, her crew underwent similar transformations, their faces reflecting mixtures of wonder and terror. Communications Officer Blake was the first to speak, her voice carrying new harmonics that hadn't been there moments before. "Captain, I can understand them completely now. Not just their words, but their concepts, their very thoughts. It's overwhelming." Chief Engineer Chen gripped his console as data streams flowed through his consciousness like rivers of pure knowledge. The ship's systems. I can see every component, every process, as if they're extensions of my own body. This is incredible, but it's not human anymore. The architect observed their struggles with what might have been compassion. You experience the first stage of elevation. Your minds now operate at a fraction of our capacity, enough to comprehend what we offer your species. But such gifts come with responsibility. Vasquez forced herself to focus despite the cascade of new sensations. "You're changing us without our consent. This is invasion, not invitation." "Is it invasion when a parent teaches a child?" The architect replied. "Your species stands at a crossroads. You can remain as you are, limited by primitive neural architecture and destined to destroy yourselves within centuries. Or you can accept enhancement and join the galactic community as contributing members." Through her enhanced perception, Vasquez could sense the vast intelligence behind the architect's words. But she could also feel something else, the aliens. Genuine concern for humanity's future, mixed with a paternalistic certainty that they knew what was best. "What about choice?" she demanded. "Don't we have the right to develop at our own pace?" The architect's form shifted, becoming more imposing. "Your pace has led to 3 colonial wars in as many decades. Your choice includes weapons that can sterilize worlds and conflicts that span star systems. At your current rate of development, you will either destroy yourselves or become a threat to other species within your lifetime." Chun's enhanced intellect was already analyzing the alien's statements, finding patterns and implications that his unaugmented mind couldn't have grasped. "You're not the first species you've done this to, are you? This enhancement, this guidance, you've imposed it on others." "We have guided 17 species to successful integration into galactic civilization," the architect confirmed. "Each required different approaches, different levels of intervention. Your species presents unique challenges." Blake's new awareness allowed her to perceive the data streams flowing between the alien ship and the Crimson Dawn. "You've been studying us for longer than just this encounter. These scans, this knowledge of our psychology, you've been watching humanity for years, decades, the architect corrected. Since your first ventures beyond your solar system, we have observed your expansion, your conflicts, your potential. The time for passive observation has ended. The deeper test what the crew experienced next defied all previous understanding of reality. The architect opened their enhanced consciousness to a broader perspective, showing them humanity's place in the galaxy not as they imagined it, but as other species saw it. Through this cosmic viewpoint, humans appeared as a young, aggressive species spreading rapidly through local space. Their colonies were centers of resource extraction and military buildup. Their exploration ships were armed to the teeth, ready for conflict at any moment. To older galactic civilizations, humanity looked like a virus of violence spreading among the stars. This is how the keepers of the void currents perceive you, the architect explained as images flowed through their minds. They see ships of war disguised as exploration vessels. They observe your tendency to claim territory through strength rather than negotiation. The viewpoint shifted, showing humanity through the perspective of a crystalline species that communicated. Through harmonics, the song weavers hear discord in your transmissions. Your communications carry undertones of aggression, even in messages of peace. Vasquez felt sick as she realized the truth. Every first contact protocol we developed was filtered through military thinking. Even our peaceful overtures sound like threats to sufficiently advanced species. Now you begin to understand, the architect said. Your species carries the genetic and cultural legacy of conquest. It served you well on your home world, but it makes you dangerous neighbors among the stars. Chun's enhanced mind was racing through implications. But consciousness enhancement isn't the only solution. We could learn, adapt, grow naturally given time and proper guidance. Time is a luxury we cannot afford, the architect replied grimly. The Void Hunters are returning. The name sent chills through the enhanced crew, though they didn't understand why. Through their expanded awareness, they sensed ancient fear associated with those words. Terror that spanned multiple civilizations and countless millennia. Blake found her voice. What are the Void Hunters? The architect's form darkened, seeming to absorb light rather than emit it. A species that chose the path of unlimited aggression. They consumed their homeworld, then their solar system, then entire sectors of space. They view all other life as resources to be harvested. We believed them destroyed, but our long-range monitors have detected their signatures in the outer spiral. Arms through their enhancement, the crew could sense the magnitude of this threat. The Void Hunters weren't just conquerors. They were existence itself turned predatory, consuming matter, energy, and consciousness wherever they found it. They are the ultimate expression of what your species could become if left unguided, the architect continued. Endless hunger, infinite aggression, total consumption. This is why we cannot wait for natural development. The galaxy needs defenders, not another potential threat. The moment of choice, Vasquez felt the weight of species-wide responsibility settling on her shoulders. Everything the architect had shown them suggested that humanity was on a dangerous path, one that could lead to either self-destruction or transformation into something monstrous. But her enhanced consciousness also revealed something the architect might not have intended: the fear behind their actions. These ancient beings were terrified. The approaching threat of the Void Hunters had them scrambling to create as many enhanced species as possible, building an army of consciousness-elevated defenders. You're not just offering us growth, she realized. You're recruiting us for a war. The architect's pause confirmed her suspicion. The coming conflict will require all the intelligence and capability we can muster. enhanced humanity could provide unique advantages. Your natural aggression, properly channeled and augmented with advanced consciousness, could be valuable against the Void Hunters. Chen laughed bitterly. So our violent tendencies aren't a flaw to be corrected, but a feature to be weaponized. Both perspectives contain truth, the architect admitted. Your aggression makes you dangerous neighbors, but it also makes you effective warriors. Enhancement would allow you to retain that strength while gaining the wisdom to use it properly. The moral complexity of the situation was staggering. Accept enhancement and lose fundamental aspects of human nature in exchange for greater intelligence and purpose. Refuse and potentially doom humanity to either self-destruction or transformation into something worse than the Void Hunters. Blake spoke the question they were all thinking. What happens to the unenhanced if we accept the billions of humans throughout our colonies who would never consent to this change? They would be gradually brought to enhancement as resources allow, the architect replied. Some resistance is expected, but enhanced humans would help guide the process. You're talking about the forced evolution of our entire species, Vasquez said. I am talking about survival, the architect countered. Your species faces three paths: enhancement and integration into galactic civilization, natural development followed by self-destruction or corruption into something like the Void Hunters. We offer the only path that preserves what is valuable in humanity while eliminating what is dangerous. The unexpected rebellion, what happened next, surprised everyone, including the architect. The enhanced crew of the Crimson Dawn, instead of accepting the logical choice presented to them, began to resist in ways their expanded consciousness made possible. Chun's understanding of the ship's systems, now augmented beyond human norms, allowed him to begin interfacing directly with the alien modifications. Blake's enhanced communication abilities let her reach out to crew members throughout the ship, coordinating their response, and Vasquez's leadership, amplified by expanded awareness, began uniting her people in defiance of their supposed benefactors. We appreciate what you've shown us, Vasquez said, her voice carrying new authority. But you've made a fundamental error in your calculations. The architect seemed genuinely surprised. Explain. You enhanced our intelligence, but you also enhanced our humanity. We can see the logic of your arguments, understand the scale of the threats you describe, and comprehend the benefits of what you offer. But we can also see something you've missed. Through their enhanced awareness, the crew was sharing thoughts and perceptions in ways that created a collective intelligence. Not a hive mind, but a collaborative consciousness that retained individual identity while achieving unprecedented cooperation. Blake continued Vasquez's thought. You've spent so long guiding species that you've forgotten what it means to choose your own path. Every species you've elevated has lost something essential in the process. Chen added his perspective. Your 17 success stories, they're all variations on the same theme. Advanced, peaceful, cooperative, and completely lacking in the chaotic creativity that drives real growth. You've created a galaxy of highly intelligent sheep. The architect's form flickered with what might have been anger. Your observations are limited by inexperience. The species we have guided have achieved things your kind cannot imagine. Have they achieved anything you didn't already know was possible? Vasquez challenged. Or have you simply created cosmic bureaucrats who efficiently implement your vision of galactic civilization? The question struck home. Through their enhancement, the crew could sense the architect's discomfort with the accuracy of their assessment. The human solution, what came next, would be remembered as the moment humanity truly announced itself to the galaxy. Instead of accepting or rejecting the architect's offer, the enhanced crew of the Crimson Dawn proposed something unprecedented. A partnership between equals. "We'll help you face the Void Hunters," Vasquez declared, "but as humans, not as enhanced copies of your ideal citizen. Our chaotic creativity, our aggressive problem-solving, our stubborn independence. These aren't flaws to be corrected. They're tools that might be exactly what you need." The architect's ancient intelligence struggled with this concept. "Your natural state makes you dangerous to others and to yourselves. Then teach us to be dangerous to the right things," Chen suggested. "Don't enhance our consciousness beyond recognition. Instead, help us enhance our wisdom while retaining our nature." Blake elaborated on the concept. "We could serve as your wildcards, the unpredictable element that might find solutions your perfectly ordered species would never consider." Through their expanded awareness, they could sense the architect consulting with others of its kind, debating the unprecedented suggestion across vast distances instantaneously. The conversation that followed happened at the speed of thought, compressed into moments that contained lifetimes of consideration. Finally, the architect responded, "Your proposal has merit, but it carries enormous risks. Unenhanced humans with advanced technology could become a threat equal to the Void Hunters, or they could become something entirely new," Vasquez replied. "A species that bridges the gap between your ancient wisdom and the chaotic creativity needed to face unprecedented challenges. The compromise what emerged from the negotiations was unlike anything in galactic history. Humanity would remain fundamentally human, but with access to advanced technology and knowledge that could be shared gradually as the species demonstrated wisdom in its use. In exchange, humans would serve as scouts, problem solvers, and, if necessary, warriors in the coming conflict with the Void Hunters." The enhancement the crew had experienced was partially reversed, leaving them with expanded awareness but fundamentally human consciousness. They would serve as bridges between humanity and the galactic community, translating between radically different ways of thinking. "This arrangement is experimental," the architect warned. "If humanity proves incapable of managing the responsibilities we share, intervention will become necessary." "Understood," Vasquez replied. "But you need to understand something too. Humans don't just fight threats. We adapt to them, learn from them, and eventually surpass them. Give us the chance to prove that our chaos can be stronger than their hunger." The architect's form began to fade as their ship prepared to depart. "The first Void Hunter scouts will reach this sector within your lifetime. When they arrive, we will see whether human unpredictability is innovation or mere destruction wearing a different mask." As the alien vessel disappeared into dimensions human science couldn't yet comprehend, the crew of the Crimson Dawn found themselves forever changed. They had encountered the infinite and emerged still human, but now they carried the weight of their species' future among the stars. Vasquez looked at her, transformed but still recognizably human crew, and smiled grimly. "Well, people, it looks like we just volunteered humanity for the fight of our lives. Let's go home and figure out how to prepare our species for a war against the impossible." The Crimson Dawn turned toward Earth, carrying news that would change everything. Humanity was no longer alone. The galaxy was far more dangerous than they had imagined, and their survival would depend on proving that sometimes the best solution to cosmic order was a little human chaos. In the distance, sensors that could peer across galactic distances detected the first stirrings of movement. In the void between stars, the hunters were awakening, and humanity's test was just beginning. Asterisk.